Good morning. It's Wednesday, April 9th. Here's what we're working on this morning. Canada has amped up its retaliatory measures against the Trump administration's tariffs.
Crews are searching what's left of a nightclub in the Dominican Republic where a roof collapse has killed at least 98.
And popular YouTuber Miss Rachel finally shares her months-long absence. Good morning. Thank you for being with us here on Morning Live. And it's another chilly day, Brian. We can't get away from it.
No, we can't, and we're not going to get away from it for a few days either. It's going to stay on the cool side today, tomorrow, and Friday. So, yeah, it's even
Bear
cold.
with it.
Yeah, that's it. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, that's it. Bear with it. It's even colder this morning than it was yesterday morning. However, the wind chill isn't quite as bad. So we'll take that as a positive.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll take anything we can get. Yeah.
Yeah. It's -7 right now, but the wind chill this morning is -11. So that's better than yesterday. We had a wind chill of -14. So take a little bit of encouragement here. We are going to see some sunshine for the day today. So it'll become partly cloudy as the day goes on. The wind won't be quite as strong, which is a nice factor involved in the chilly temperatures, but at least today we'll climb to 5 degrees. Yesterday we only got to 0, which was the forecast high, but at least today we'll hit 5. Tomorrow about 4, and then we'll stay around 6 on Friday. So another 3 days of cool temperatures, and then we'll start to finally warm up for the weekend. Yay! We'll talk about that coming up in a few minutes. Right now, a quick check on the roads as we usually do, and we start here at the 403 and Waterdown Road. There has been a fair bit of maintenance on the 403. Some might be lingering this morning, not quite cleared up as yet, but nothing to see here. MTO traffic cameras, what's going on? And there's not a lot right now. QEW, Red Hill Creek, doing fine. Same with the top of the Skyway Bridge, flipping ahead to Burl Oak, doing okay. Burlington, Oakville, Mississauga, nothing to see on the roads this morning. So take it carefully, please. We'll look at weather and traffic in a few minutes. Right now, the news.
Thank you, Brian. Canada's retaliatory measures on vehicle imports from the United States are now in effect as the global trade war lingers on. Unlike tariffs from the United States, these retaliatory tariffs from Canada will not target auto parts or vehicles and components made in Mexico. Canada's Foreign Minister Melanie Joly was on CNN last night to discuss the strained relationship between Canada and the U.S.
The relationship between Canada and the U.S. will never be the same. The trust was affected by what happened. This trade war was launched out of nowhere against your best ally, friend, and neighbor. And we want to make sure that we can be constructive, but we're not naive neither.
Meantime, Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne said in a news release that the government is firmly committed to removing the tariffs as soon as possible. During a Senate Finance Committee meeting, many U.S. senators said the trade war with Canada is hurting their states' economies and that small businesses are laying off employees.
U.S. President Donald Trump's new tariffs on several economies took effect today, including a 104% levy on goods coming in from China.
He believes China has to make a deal with the United States. It was a mistake for China to retaliate. The president, when America is punched, he punches back harder. That's why there will be 104% tariffs going into effect on China tonight at midnight. But the president believes that she and China want to make a deal. They just don't know how to get that started. And the president also wanted me to tell all of you that if China reaches out to make a deal, he'll be incredibly gracious, but he's going to do what's best for the American people.
So that's now in effect. The announcement marks the latest escalation in a trade war that's caused a lot of volatility on financial markets around the world and major sell-offs.
It seems Donald Trump's threats against Canada are giving a bit of a boost to the art world. The Ontario government has announced millions for one of the country's largest collections of Canadian and Indigenous art, the McMichael Collection in Kleinburg. Ontario's Minister of Tourism and Culture, Stan Cho, says now more than ever it's important that we support Canadian culture. The province will invest up to $50 million over 3 years to update and expand the facility, protecting the gallery's $750 million collection. The money is contingent on matching funding from the federal government and private donations.
In the federal election, all three party leaders have pitched their plans for economic growth.
That's why my government will provide $25 billion, I'll repeat, $25 billion in financing to scale the industry up massively, to create high-paying jobs, high-skilled jobs up and down the supply chain, in prefabricated and modular housing factories.
We will create a public name and shame registry so that global, multinational, and billionaire tax dodgers are named and exposed so that everyone knows who they are. And we will expand the offshore tax informant program, giving whistleblowers up to 20% of recovered funds when they help expose illegal tax schemes.
Here's our plan. We're going to make it permanent, the ban on big money investors buying up Canadian homes. That should be a ban. Homes in Canada should be for you and your family, not for rich investors to get richer. In addition, we're going to end the loophole that allows speculators to flip homes year after year. That's got to stop.
Now today, the Liberal leader Mark Carney is set to make an announcement in Calgary before holding an event in Saskatoon. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has a news conference in Sault Ste. Marie this morning and then a rally tonight in Brampton. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is campaigning in Vancouver this morning before heading to Saskatoon. Green Party co-leader Elizabeth May and co-leader Jonathan Pedneau are set to be in Ottawa today for media interviews.
There's just 2.5 weeks to go until the final votes are cast on April 28th. A new poll suggests most Canadians have already made up their minds about how they'll vote. The Leger poll done for the Canadian Press finds that among the 1,600 adults surveyed last weekend, 61% said they'd made their final decision, while 37% said they could still change their mind. If the election were held today, 44% said they would vote Liberal, 37% said they'd vote for the Conservatives, and 8% for the NDP.
At least 98 people are dead after the roof of a nightclub collapsed in the Dominican Republic, including a former Toronto Blue Jay. The collapse happened about an hour into a merengue concert. Politicians and athletes were among those at the Jet Set nightclub in Santo Domingo. Rescuers are still searching the rubble for survivors. At least 300 people were inside. Officials say it's too early to determine why the roof fell. Former Blue Jays reliever Octavio Dotel died on the way to hospital after being pulled from the rubble. He pitched for 13 MLB teams and won a World Series title with St. Louis in 2011. He'd also been inducted into the Dominican Sports Hall of Fame. Dotel was 51.
A crash north of Simcoe has killed one person and injured 4 others. 2 cars and an SUV collided on Highway 24 near Waterford yesterday afternoon around 3:30. Norfolk OPP say an 87-year-old passenger in one of the cars died. The driver of that car was airlifted to hospital. The driver and passenger of the SUV were also taken to hospital, and the driver of the other car was treated for minor injuries. There's no word yet on charges.
The Ontario government's expected to announce that construction at Hamilton's West Harbour GO station is finished. A new piece of track on the Lakeshore West Line has been added that's going to allow all trains to or from Niagara to stop at West Harbour. The province says the addition will shorten the commute for people coming from Niagara by up to about 10 minutes each way. Commute times, though, will not change for trips between Hamilton and Toronto.
The longtime chair of the Hamilton-Wentworth Catholic District School Board is moving on. Patrick Daly has been named Executive Director of the Ontario Catholic School Trustees Association. He starts the new role in June after having been a trustee and school board chair for 36 years.
Busy night in sports for Canada's NHL team, so we're going to start off in Florida, where the Leafs took on the Panthers.
One thing Paul Maurice said, he's trying to manage his minutes. He said you get more tired. He's coming off an injury. But also
pokes one on net, score! Off the end boards, the puck hops in front. It found the stick of
Eetu Listerin scored about a minute into the third period as the Florida Panthers beat Toronto 3-1. John Tavares scored his 37th goal this season for Toronto, which saw its 4-game win streak snapped. The Leafs finish 1-3-0 against the Panthers on the year.
Played ahead by Anderson for Gallagher. The helmet came off. Johansson will have to put it back on, or he'll have to go off. They score!
Josh Anderson scored the winner with 9 minutes and 12 seconds remaining in the third period, and Sam Montembeault made 35 saves as Montreal beat Detroit for their 6th straight win, 4-1. Brendan Gallagher and Nick Suzuki added empty netters for the Canadiens, which strengthened its position in the playoff picture. Canadiens begin a 2-game road trip against Ottawa on Friday.
Off the boards in front of Merzlikins, cleaned up by Corrali, and then knuckled out of there by Matejchuk, and flying after this, Justin Danforth, closing in, nice move, he fires, he scores! Justin Danforth, what a goal!
He and Mathieu Olivier each had a goal and an assist to help the Columbus Blue Jackets beat the Ottawa Senators 5-2. Thomas Chabot had a goal and an assist, and Fabian Zetterlund also scored for Ottawa. Despite the loss, the Senators have clinched a playoff berth for the first time since 2017. That is thanks to Montreal's win over Detroit.
Hronek near side, and to take it off his skate. Stripped of the puck by Harley. Dumba check behind the net. Garland centers. They score. Kiefer Sherwood with 1:16 to go in overtime. The Canucks complete the comeback.
Kiefer Sherwood scored with 1:16 left in overtime as the Vancouver Canucks made NHL history and stunned the Dallas Stars 6-5. Vancouver scored 3 6-on-5 goals in the final minute of regulation to force overtime. In the process, the Canucks became the first team in NHL history to overcome a 3-goal deficit in the final minute of regulation to win. Vancouver now heads to Colorado to take on the Avalanche.
Carolina forward as the Sabres get the puck to center ice. Here's Jackson Blake making a couple of moves. Centers in front. Oh, James Reimer reaching out.
And in Buffalo, James Reimer made 33 saves to help the Sabres beat the Carolina Hurricanes 3-0. It is Reimer's first shutout of the season, the 31st of his career. The Sabres have now won 5 straight games for the first time since January of 2023. The Hurricanes' loss helped to clinch the Metropolitan Division title for the Washington Capitals.
All right, here we go into this Wednesday morning, 9th morning of April. It's a chilly start. We'll talk about the forecast in a sec, 12 minutes after 6 o'clock. Here's the 403 in Waterdown Road. We'll start there. Nothing here, but they're still doing some work on the ramp from southbound 6 going to the westbound 403. So ramp lanes are closed through there. They're still trying to clean that up. Let's go to some MTO traffic cameras. St. Catharines, first of all. QEW east of Lake, nothing to see there. Red Hill Creek camera, a little busier, but still moving nicely. Fairview, nothing. East of Royal Windsor, nothing. Same with Cooksville Creek. All looking good so far today. Okay, temperature this morning. Let's hit you into the day. -7. It's even colder than it was yesterday morning. However, the winds this morning are light. They're west-southwest. They're about 6 kilometers an hour, so that makes it feel like -10. So that's a little bit better. The skies are mainly clear. We're getting toward the full moon coming up this weekend, so nice and bright. So today for school, it'll be partly cloudy. We'll start off with a fair bit of sunshine, then we'll get a little bit of cloud cover rolling in, but it's going to be cool. It'll be milder than yesterday. We only got to 0, but today +5. So that's about half where we should be this time of year. That ridge of high pressure giving us the clear skies overnight, sunshine this morning. And then that low to the southwest of us is going to pull in some cloud cover. And it looks like today we shouldn't have precipitation, or tonight, but tomorrow, yeah, we're going to get some precip. We could get snow. We could get some rain. So today we're looking at 5 degrees, 4 for Brantford. We'll see the sun this morning, a little bit of cloud cover pushing in this afternoon, maybe some flurries for Guelph and Kitchener. Tonight, yeah, chilly again, but not quite as cold. -1, -2 degrees. Simcoe, Cayuga could get some flurries. Otherwise, we're going to see partly cloudy to fairly clear skies for Toronto. And then tomorrow, we get the clouds, we get the snow, and then we could get some rain during the day. Temperatures 4, 5, and 6. So temperature for Hamilton a little bit cooler than today, about 4 degrees, but at least we'll be in the plus side for the day tomorrow. So as we step out the door, 9th morning of April already, it is mainly clear. It is cold. way below seasonal for an overnight low. We're sitting at -7, wind chill -10. Long range, of course, coming up in a few minutes. Annette, Kelly.
Thank you, Brian. Coming up after the break, we'll say good morning to Louis Butko with a preview of what's to come in Chit Chat. And Canadian businesses with American names are reminding customers they are proudly Canadian. Welcome back. Let's say good morning now to Louis Butko. Louis, what do you have coming up in Chit Chat for us?
Well, coming up, football legend Terry Bradshaw. He's coming to Niagara Falls for one night only this weekend, and we had a chance to catch up with him yesterday. A hugely popular YouTube star, especially among the youngest of viewers, has revealed why she has been missing in action. And Jackson Triggs is out with their lineup for their very popular 2025 summer concert series. Lots of names, so it should be a good summer there.
Lots of big names, yeah. And it's so nice to think of summer. It will get warm eventually, right?
Yeah. All right, thanks so much, Louis. Looking forward to that. Now taking a look at overseas trading, markets are continuing to show volatility this morning. Our dollar is up 29 basis points to 70.36 cents U.S. Gold, which is seen as a safe haven investment, surged more than $74 an ounce, and crude is down another $2.21 to $57.34 a barrel. In midday, European trading markets are down triple digits across the board in London, Frankfurt, and Paris.
In Asia, Tokyo dropped nearly 1,300 points today, but markets were up in Hong Kong and Shanghai. North American markets, they closed yesterday on a fourth day of losses. This is all because of concerns over tariffs. So the TSX was down more than 350 points, the Dow dropped 320, and the NASDAQ closed 335 points lower. Where will they go today? Well, futures on Wall Street are recovering from these lows, but they're still down in pre-market trading this morning.
Canadian businesses with American names are stuck in the middle of Trump's tariff war, hoping customers can remember they are more than just their namesakes. Brands like Boston Pizza, New York Fries, Montana's, California Sandwiches, and the Great American Back Rub are all Canadian and are working to remind Canadians exactly that. A New York Fries spokesperson says they have had to answer some questions from customers who may or may not understand the company's heritage in Canada. While some companies say they won't change their names, others have suggested they might if the trade war runs too long and confusion continues to hinder sales.
A Chinese billionaire in BC has announced her plans to buy dozens of Hudson's Bay locations. Entrepreneur Wei Hong Lu is the board chair of a retail investment company that owns 3 shopping centers in BC. She posted on the Chinese social media platform Red Note that Hudson's Bay carries Canada's history, and watching it collapse is something she can't stand by and just let happen. She says she hopes to make the Bay, quote, great again. Binding bids for the company's assets or investments for the business are due in by the end of April, while those wanting the leases have until May 1st.
Rogers Communications says it plans to wind down its 3G network on July 31st, which will impact customers' pockets. Customers with the telecommunication company can expect to see a legacy network usage charge of $3 on Rogers 3G and 2G networks. Rogers says those who use cell phones on the older networks may experience disruptions to calling, texting, or data usage before those functions stop working entirely. TELUS has also implemented a $3 price increase for 3G plans, while Bell isn't charging any fee and has no plans to do so.
Taking a quick break right now. Brian is back with traffic and your 7-day forecast right after this.
6:24 on this Wednesday morning. Right to traffic here, and we'll just give you a quick check because there's not a lot happening. QEW 7th in St. Catharines, no problems. Top of the Skyway Bridge all the way through Burloak. Everything's moving quite nicely so far this morning. Lauren Park, doing fine as you head toward Mississauga Road. We'll dip into the 403 going through Mississauga. That's the camera at Huron, Ontario. Nothing to see right there. Still some lingering construction, particularly Highway 6 South going to the westbound 403. We do have some ramp closures there. Okay, it's another chilly morning here. We're sitting at -7 for Hamilton. They factor in the winds, thankfully very light. Makes it feel like -10, so cold. -6 Mississauga, 4 Toronto, 3 for Grimsby, -Colum, of course, there. So, sun times for the day today. We gain another 3 minutes of daylight, so the sun comes up at 6:48, down at 7:55. 10 and 0 are the seasonal temperatures. We're a long way below that. And look at the records. The record, we got to 23.8 last year on this date. What a difference today. So -4 for the first bell and sun, a little bit more cloud cover after school, and the temperature will be 5 degrees today. That's all we're going to get to. At least it's better than yesterday. 5 degrees. -2 tonight, so not quite as chilly. And then tomorrow, 4 degrees. We'll get some snow beginning early, and then it could cycle into some rain and mixing precipitation. It gets better a bit, 6 degrees at least on Friday. Saturday will hit 8, both days chance of showers, and then temperatures get better. We'll hit 12, 15, and 12 for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. That's your forecast. Annette, Kelly.
Okay, well, a tortoise at the Philadelphia Zoo just became a mom for the first time, and she made history.
The zoo says she's about 100 years old. That makes her the oldest first-time mom of her species. So far, 4 baby tortoises have hatched. The first one came out in late February. Zoo staff are still watching the rest of the eggs to see if more will hatch. The zoo says the 4 are believed to be female, and they will make their public debut later this month. Their dad is also around. 100 years old. Wow.
They're so cute and so tiny.
Mom and Dad are going to be tired, let me tell you. At 100 years old with at least 4 newborns? No way. They're going to be exhausted. But yeah, look at how cute they are.
That's pretty amazing, too, how the eggs hatch so differently.
And at such different times. Yeah. Very interesting. All right. Okay, stay with us. More to come right after the break.